Welcome to Fox Soul's Black Report, your daily source for Black news, views, and opinions. Today is Tuesday, June 21st, and I'm Mimi Brown.
And I'm Romeo.
I'm Demi Lobo, and on today's report, we have the latest in the murder trial of Eric Holder, the man accused of gunning down Los Angeles rapper Nipsey Hussle. A witness took to the stand with her account of the events leading up to Nipsey Hussle's final moments. Meanwhile, we get a first look at an image from inside the Uvalde Elementary School where a gunman killed 19 children and 2 adults last month. We break down how long it took police officers in that school to enter the classrooms where the gunman was. Then, WNBA star Brittany Griner was scheduled to speak with her wife, Sherelle, but it didn't happen. Brittany Griner's wife said that she attempted that call 11 times, and we have that story.
Plus, a Chicago rapper receives a social justice award. And did you get any sleep last night? Because Beyonce gave us new music after hours. We have all that and so much more. This is our voice and our truth, so let's get it.
We've been following developing news in the Nipsey Hussle trial. Yesterday, a new witness taking the stand. It's the woman who drove Eric Holder Jr. to and from the scene. Now, Brianita Nicholas says when she arrived at the Marathon clothing store, she overheard Eric Holder asking Nipsey if he had been telling people that he was a snitch. Nicholson says after that brief confrontation between the men, she and Holder got back into the car. She says Holder told her to drive around the block. Now, as she did, Nicholson says Holder pulled out a black semi-automatic gun. Nicholson says that's when she asked Holder what he was doing and told him to put the gun away. She says he got out the car and that's when she heard gunshots. Now, Nicholson's identity has been hidden during her 2019 grand jury testimony. Yesterday was the first time her identity had been revealed. She testified in exchange for immunity. I was trying to read more about her. Of course, her identity, we don't have a picture or anything about her. But, what stood out to me is that she says, so she's testifying for immunity in this case, in this trial. But I just don't know about her because she says that she got out the car. She took a selfie with Nipsey before this all went down. She parked around the corner. She said she heard gunshots and she was going to leave, but she waited because she didn't know if Holder had been hurt. So when he got to the car, they took off and she dropped him off in Long Beach. She posted the photo to Facebook of her and Nipsey, and then later on that day, she was getting comments like they think Holder is a suspect, and people were asking her, did you know that? And I guess she didn't answer. But then this is what she did that was so questionable. Holder calls her and says, hey, come pick me up from Long Beach. She goes to pick him up from Long Beach knowing that he's a suspect and brings him back to LA. So, your credibility in who you are as a person at that point, for me, now that you know that he killed Nipsey Hussle, you know that everyone is looking for him, and now you're the getaway driver going to pick him back up and transporting him back and forth. So it's just a little suspect for me when she says, oh, what are you doing with that gun? Or why do you have that gun? I was shocked that even happened, because when someone's going to shoot someone, their whole entire body changes, their demeanor changes, their energy changes. So something should have said something's about to go down, in my opinion.
Okay, that's okay. The photo that she took with Nipsey Hussle, Brianita, this is allegedly the last photo that Nipsey Hussle took. We don't know a lot. There are alleged photos of her roaming around the internet. So what we do know is that Brianita and Eric Holder allegedly were together for about 5 weeks. So this was a very new situation. They did not know each other very well. This is all a account of what we learned in court. They did not know each other very well. So I don't think that it's safe to say that she knew what he was going to do.
I didn't say that. I didn't say she knew what he was going to do.
No.
But when you're someone's energy changes when you drive around the car and they pull out a gun,
right.
At that point something has to change.
Yeah, no, for sure. I think you didn't say that. I'm just saying, because people have been saying online as well. So I think that she didn't. I do believe, hearing her testimony, that she did not believe that he was about to do something. I do believe that you've seen men with guns before. Like you've seen you could be in a car and someone pull out a gun, and I don't think that your first inclination when you just went to the Marathon clothing store, you just met Nipsey Hussle, you just got a photo, he introduced you, she saw them have a conversation. So I don't believe that her first inclination was that you were about to kill one of the largest superstars in Los Angeles.
Well,
so I do believe that she thought that, oh, what are you about to do with that? Like, what is that gun? Like, we've seen guns before. I don't think that her first inclination was to think he's about to go kill Nipsey Hussle.
If you pull up to a situation and you know they're having conversation, he walks away. First of all, there's conversation where she's saying, "Oh, I think he's fine. I want to take a picture." Now they've been together 5 weeks, so as a man in a new relationship, even hearing that, if it is that kind of relationship, even hearing that's going to trigger me. But if she pulls out a gun, if he pulls a gun out, and then you hear gunfire, I don't know if a woman should hang around for that. I don't know if you should be there unless you ride and die with him in this situation. And the fact that she dropped him off and then went back and picked him up after getting those messages saying we believe he could be a suspect, says that she, hey, you know what, was okay with what kind of happened to a certain degree. Because at that point, I'd be like, look, I can't pick you up. I wash my hands in this situation.
Matter of fact, I would have called 911. I mean, at the end of the day, so here's what, to your point, Demi, no, I don't think that she, maybe she was caught up in the moment, right? Like, oh my gosh, this is Nipsey Hussle, we're getting a selfie, I am happy. But then once she realized that this man killed this man and then she went back to pick him up and drop him off, that's where the problem comes in for me. You know, the fact that she even knew, to your point, Romeo, that she got into the car he got into her car and then she still took him to Long Beach. Like, you're ride or die for someone you just met.
I think the only thing that we're thinking about here that we have to, and we don't need to go too deep into street codes and things of that nature, but there are certain codes when you are a part of something and you already know that you're going to go down and you're technically the getaway driver here. You don't know what he told her. You don't know what potential threats. So I think that we just need to wait and see how it all turns out. But I'm with you though, Mimi. I agree too that I personally, I would not have been a part of this. I would have been gone a very long time ago. But I think also too, it's hard to just say what a person would not have done when you're caught in the moment. So, you know,
There's a lot going on in that moment.
It's a lot.
Adrenaline is high.
Yes.
There's a lot going on.
And you know that you are already on camera as well. So you just don't know. You don't know. So we have to just wait and see how this all turns out. All right, a lot of passion there. So we're getting our first look at an image from inside the Uvalde Elementary School where a gunman tragically shot and killed 19 children and 2 adults last month. The screen grab shows officers with rifles and at least 1 ballistic shield. Now, 19 minutes after the gunman arrived at the Robb Elementary School, this is when this photo was taken. Now, the officers, they did not enter the classrooms. I believe it was classroom 111 and 112. That is where the shooter was in for nearly another hour. Investigators say that a surveillance and body camera footage shows the officers on the scene and that they had more than enough firepower to take the shooter out. On May 24th, the shooting, it's put a lot of intense scrutiny on how law enforcement has dealt with this incident. So again, the shooter arrived at 11:30. The police didn't get inside until around 12:50. And so when you look at one AR-15 that this young man should not have even had, but you're one AR-15 versus all of these police officers, ballistic shields, and just, arm wear and, vests that they could have, you sign up for this. When you are a police officer, when you are a sheriff, you sign up for putting your life on the line to protect the betterment of others. And so it really does not make sense that one AR-15 was able to take out 21 lives, and you have all these police officers with all these armor that you could have called in the SWAT and all this other stuff by the time you came an hour and a half later.
Yeah. I think what this picture shows is that they made a really bad decision, as we know. But one of the things that I believe the chief of police said that they were waiting for more armor. So that disputes this because they had shields, they had weapons, and they still didn't go in. And there's body camera footage that's supposed to be released today. There's a hearing in Austin, Texas, and they're going to have it. They're going to release. So we have a screenshot, but they're going to see more video from that screenshot today. So we'll find out, what actually happened. But one of the things one of the officers said in the body cam that someone else watched that they're reporting is that they said, "Listen, there's children in there. We should go in there right now." And the commander was telling them no, not to go in. And so all of that, they were in there within 19 minutes. They waited, as you said, Demi, an entire another hour before they went in. And so they listened basically to little children dying while they sat in there with guns and shields and did nothing about it.
And as a parent, you see that image and it just frustrates you even more because there's a chance where if your child was shot, their lives could have been saved if they would have got taken to the hospital one time. There's a chance that maybe your child wouldn't have been shot at all. However, we see this image and we're saying they have more than enough to get the job done, to try and stop it, put it to an end. So yes, it's frustration. That's why they're calling for people to step down. There are going to be lawsuits moving forward, but more importantly, there's lives that we cannot bring back.
You know, another reason why this update is very important because Police Chief Pete Arredondo, he's been standing firm on his department's actions that day. You said that they were saying they had to get more armor, but also there's another report that they were saying they needed the janitor to give a key,
yes.
right? And so what's interesting is that this video footage shows they didn't even try to open the door. They didn't even try to seep the door. It could have been.
Shoot the knob off.
It could have been. You could shoot the knob off. You could go open it up.
So many
other
things
ways
that they could have done, and
Absolutely.
they just stood there while children were dying, and you could hear it.
Yeah.
That's the part I think that just hurts so much is that you could they could hear it and did nothing.
Yeah.
How do you get past that?
Yeah, exactly. All right, well, the January 6th committee may subpoena Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas's wife to find out about her role in the illegal plot to overturn the 2020 election. The committee resumed televised hearings today. Now, Ginny Thomas has publicly said she can't wait to appear before the committee to clear up misconceptions about her actions after the 2020 election. Thomas reportedly emailed Arizona election officials in an attempt to get them to not certify their ballots during the election. Other emails obtained by the committee show Thomas communicated with John Eastman, the lawyer who played a key role in President Trump's election fraud lie.
And the televised January 6 hearings seem to be having the intended effect on its audience. Almost 6 in 10 Americans want former President Donald Trump criminally charged in connection with a Capitol riot. The latest ABC News poll of 58% is higher than the last one taken on the subject. Now, back in April of 2021, only 52% of Americans thought the former president should be prosecuted for initiating the insurrection. 91% of Democrats think Trump should be charged, while only 19% of Republicans agree. The hearings of last week revealed new information from Donald Trump's advisors about how the former president ignored warnings that interfering with the peaceful transfer of power was illegal.
The Texas Republican Party is declaring President Biden was not legitimately elected. As a part of the party's platform, state party officials are also rebuilding Senator John Cronin for working on bipartisan gun legislation. The platform was passed during Saturday's party convention that took place in Houston. The declarations are the latest examples of just how far the right Texas Republican Party has gone in recent years. A coalition of leading federal and state election officials, they've called the 2020 election the most secure election in America's history.
Today's D.C. mayor Democratic primary is much like the rest of the battles in the country within the Democratic Party. It's the progressive upstart candidates versus the established incumbent. It's D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser against council members Trayon White and Robert White. Neither man is related. Bowser cruised to re-election 4 years ago, even though many African Americans complain about gentrification that have made housing prices skyrocket. Now, crime is an issue many residents are concerned about most. The city's homicide rate has increased 4 years in a row. Bowser wants to hire more cops, but both councilmen question whether more cops are the answer. The winner of the Democratic primary is basically assured of becoming the city's next mayor. Democrats outnumber Republicans in D.C. by a huge margin.
And President Biden says he's close to making a decision on 2 issues Americans are extremely concerned about, and that's gas prices and student loans. Biden says he hopes to decide if he will support a temporary pause on the federal gas tax that would save Americans almost 18.5 cents per gallon. But Biden says more needs to be done by the oil companies to help the American people.
My team is going to be sitting down with the CEOs of the major oil companies this week and try to get an explanation how they justify making $35 billion in the first quarter.
Are you planning to sit down with oil and gas CEOs,
No.
Mr. President? Why is that, sir?
Because my team's going to do that.
The president also says he's close to making a decision on forgiving student loan debt. Some progressives want the president to forgive all student loan debt, and others are more moderate and want him to get rid of about $50,000 per person.
A State Department spokesperson says Monday they deeply regret that Brittany Griner was not able to speak with her wife by telephone. Griner was supposed to speak with her wife, Sherelle, but sadly it didn't happen because a prearranged phone call between the U.S. Embassy and the WNBA player went unanswered multiple times. State Department officials say a logistical error is to blame for the call not happening.
I find it unacceptable on our embassy, on all the government personnel that keeps telling me that my wife is a priority. How could she be a priority when in the same breath that you're telling me that you're also not even checking something as simple as the fact that we scheduled a call during a non-business day? It's ridiculous. It makes me hopeless, in the fact that our government is doing anything to get my wife back home.
Griner's wife says they attempted to call the embassy about 11 times without success. The State Department did not go into detail about what the logistical error was. So this was an anniversary. This was a very special occasion. It was planned 2 weeks in advance. So you would think that there would be more than enough time and effort at this point. Based on the fact that her trial date has been moved back. Brittany Griner has only been able to speak to those close to her via emails and letters. So the fact that this special occasion phone call was scheduled way in advance, 2 weeks in advance, and the U.S. Embassy, whoever's fault it was, because we don't really know, because there are a lot of conspiracy theories that come into mind too, that like if you tried to call 11 times and on their end they're not coming through, then something just doesn't seem right in the water about this, that 11 phone calls did not go through.
Well, Sports Illustrated is reporting that what happened is that yesterday was a holiday, and so the State Department, where the calls get transferred to, they weren't staffed. No one was there. And so that's really what happened, is that Brittany was trying to get through and no one was staffed. And so they have apologized. They're calling it a logistical error, but they're saying, of course, the first thing that runs through your mind is, and what her wife said, is that they thought something happened on Russia's side. Yeah. But the State Department is taking responsibility and just saying it wasn't staffed, and they are apologizing for that.
I think it's important that they clear this up, because Russia's at war, and we wonder if the embassy is even functioning properly at this moment, right? Because there's a lot going on over there. But more importantly, when you think about you trying to reach out to your loved one and hear their voice and make sure they're okay, because there's one thing between an email and a letter, you want to hear it in their voice that they're okay, they're being treated fairly while they're still there when they should be home by now. So we got to get her home sooner than later, but 11 times, it's just not a good
That just
look.
goes to show you how desperate she was just to have, she wanted to talk to. She tried 11 times over the course of several hours. So that means she really, of course, can you imagine being there and you have this call scheduled for 2 weeks and that's the only thing you're looking forward to, and it doesn't happen.
Yeah, very sad.
Because all of the emails and letters are, they're piling through every single word. So we don't even know if those are words that are the letters in emails. So like you said, Romeo, back to your point, it's great to just hear her actual voice.
That's
and see,
what you
because I've been worried about her, honestly, just like seeing her that last time. I would have loved to see, how she
and
was
have
doing.
her come back with a great report to tell us how she's doing.
Same.
Definitely. We'll keep praying. All right, New York's new law that bans the sales of bullet-resistant vests to most people does not include the type of body armor the gunman in Buffalo grocery store shooting wore. Law enforcement officials say the gap in the law could limit its effectiveness in deterring future military-style mass shootings. During last month's attack, Peyton Gedron wore steel-plated vests, armor strong enough to stop a handgun round by the store security guards who fired at him. New York law restricts the sales of vests defined as bullet-resistant soft body armor. New York lawmakers say they are looking at ways to fix the law to include steel-plated vests.
And new data shows black drivers are more likely to be pulled over in Missouri than white drivers. The Missouri Attorney General's office compiled the information that shows numbers are increasing since last year. The state has been analyzing police stops for the last 2 decades. A spokesperson for the Missouri's NAACP says the state's response to the excessive number of police stops of African Americans is not good. Black people make up only 11% of the state, but they are 18% of the people pulled over by police.
Chicago police are releasing surveillance video of a young pregnant woman who has been missing since October of 2018. This is the last image of Kiara Coles after using a store ATM. She was seen driving off with a man who police say is a person of interest. Family members and community organizers want any information people may have in Coles' disappearance. She worked as a postal employee. Coles is one of the estimated 3,000 black women and girls reported missing in Chicago.
Herschel Walker says he has never denied the existence of his 4 children. The Georgia Republican candidate for the U.S. Senate has only mentioned one of his children publicly. Walker says his other children knew the truth. He says he loves them all. Democrats and others are being critical of Walker, who has gone after black men he says abandoned their children. Walker's comments come after published reports said he had 3 children with women other than his wife. Walker faces Democratic Senator Raphael Warnock in November. We keep getting these stories about this young man. I'm just saying, if he's going to be your guy, you have to do your research. You have to get in front of things. I'm not saying he's responsible for not mentioning those kids, but you got to understand, people are going to go and look for skeletons in your closet. So they're not running this whole thing right. I think it's all bad from Jump Street. So I don't know how it's going to turn out for the Republican Party when it comes to that. I cannot wait to see.
He's a pawn. You know, this man is a pawn. It just, so when people are going to dig up, when you put yourself out there, when we're here at Fox News Black Report, people are going to try to find something on us. So it's even worse when people do not like you. And so the black community, when you're trying to split the black vote in Atlanta, in Georgia, you're going to have people that are like, you know what, we don't like this man. Let's see what we can find on him. And so you better not also be a person that's attacking people and other fathers, how they father, and you have skeletons in your closet.
That's right.
Demi, you said it all. I mean, listen, this is campaign speak. This is someone trying to clear up that story, trying to fix it a little bit, because no matter what. So he claims one son publicly, but it's still true that the mother of your 10-year-old had to go to court to get you to pay child support. So while you're on TV talking about men, because black men, you know, and you can't generalize black men. There are black fathers who take care of their children. So to go on these conservative networks and make it seem like all black men do not take care of their kids, that is false, and you're pandering to a base. And so, listen, this is, again, campaign speak. They're just trying to fix something that he said or that he did, but we all know the truth.
Yeah, I'm still scratching the head right now.
Right. All right, well, Vanessa Bryant wants jurors in the lawsuit against the LA County Sheriff's Office to know the deputy accused of taking a helicopter crash photos of her late husband has a history of excessive force. TMZ says lawyers for LA County are fighting to keep that information from the jury. They say that information could influence the jurors. Deputy Doug Johnson is accused of kneeling on a handcuffed LA jail inmate. The jail incident happened almost a month after Kobe, his daughter Gigi, and others died in a helicopter crash. Now, Bryant is suing the sheriff's office for defamation and negligence for releasing the photos.
A Jesuit middle school in Massachusetts is losing its Catholic affiliation for flying the Black Lives Matter flag. The Nativity School in Worcester has been flying the flag since January of 2021, but the Catholic bishop in the town ordered it to be removed. But the school's president has refused. Thomas McKinney says the flag is flying to show support for the making of our community and making it more just inclusive as a whole. As a result, the school cannot call itself a Catholic institution. The school is planning to appeal that decision.
The government of Jamestown, Rhode Island is doing something to atone for the city's role in the African transatlantic slave trade. The city will fly the Juneteenth flag from now until July 5th, but that's not all. City officials say they have created a scholarship fund in the name of Betty Martin. Betty Martin and her family were enslaved in the late 1700s. She was sold for $43, while her 9-year-old son was sold off for $30 by Jamestown resident Rebecca Carr Martin. The city's town council approved the motion for the scholarship fund last week. Sponsors of the Betty Martin Family Scholarship Fund says it is for high school seniors on the path to becoming good citizens.
A New York City train conductor is under investigation for his part in the death of a man who was run over by another train. Police say Marcus Bryant accidentally lodged his foot between a subway car and the platform at the Brooklyn station. When the train pulled off, it dragged him until he fell on the tracks. The train next to the track, traveling past, hit the man and killing him. The head of the transit agency says the conductor should have been looking outside of his car window to make sure his train was clear.